Okay, and part 2 is saying, will the rocket ever reach a height of 70? So it's saying this bit here, the turning point, will that ever get to 70? And there's a very easy way of doing that. You say, well, if I want to work out what the height is, all I need to do is substitute the time into the equation to get the height. So at what time do I get the maximum height? Well, it's bang in between 6 and 10, isn't it? In the same way that it's bang in between the roots. So I don't know, maybe the roots are 0 and 12 looking at that. So right in the middle there would be, well, maybe 0 and 14. In fact, 0 and 16, right? So that would come out as 8. But it's just the middle number between any two of these points on the graph. So looking at 6 and 10, the middle number there is 8. If I was given the two roots, the middle number would be 8. So that means the root here, it must be 16. That's obviously 0. So if you know that the time is 8, just substitute 8 into the equation. Okay, so y, 16 times by 8, take away 8 squared. So I'm taking away 64. I'll do a little chimney sum for 16 times 8. 6 8s are 48. 80 plus the 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 128. Take away 164. Y. So 128 take away 64. 4, borrow 6, and 0. So no, it's going to get up to 64 meters. So that's equal to 64. So no, it will not get to 70 meters. I think we can maybe do another way as well, because really that's all about finding the turning point too, isn't it? So let's have a look at our equation then. If I said we said y is equal to 16t take away t squared, for y negative t squared plus 16t, and we are saying, will that ever, we're trying to work out the height. So yes, right, so you could say, right, that's my equation, and let's find the roots, because here I was able to work out the roots, but say you weren't sure, you say, right, well, I'm going to take out my negative first of all, so that's t squared take away 16t. That makes sense, doesn't it? The negative is saying it's an inverted parabola. And then you say, right, well, what's my common factor? How do I factorize this? Because I'm trying to work out the root, so equals 0. So I can just take out t from that, and then that's t take away 16. And all that means is, for this to be 0, t is going to be 0, or t is going to be 16. So you've got your roots. Now you know your roots. You know the turning point by the middle of those roots, which would be 8. Substitute 8 in to work out the height. So you might have gone down that route as well. That would be okay. Yeah, but you should be able to look and say, nope, it's in between 6 and 10, which is 8, and just substitute straight in. Okay, but I thought that was worth just going over because it's an interesting way of thinking about factorising. Usually we're doing the trinomial, add to give you this, multiply to give you the last term, like that. But here, you're writing out your form and you're taking out your common factor, and just knowing to take out that negative, gives you that shape. Okay, so just another way of thinking about it. Right, so that's quite a good one, just a little bit of real life context and difficulty thrown in. Let's try this one. So again, have a wee read and pause the video so you get on. So the first thing, the area of a rectangle, well, it's just going to be y is equal to, well, if it's an expression, sorry. So for that one, I'd be saying a, and the expression would just simply be the base times the height, so it's 2x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 8. I'm just going to multiply that out, just because I think it might come in handy later on, but that would be my expression. So 2x squared, x, 16x, and 8. So it's 2x squared plus 17x plus 8. Yeah, that's my trinomial, and that's like a simplified term. All I'm doing is area is length times width. Given the area of the rectangle is equal to the triangle, prove this. Now again, this sounds quite complicated, but it's really not. And again, it's a nice lead-in. Back in the day, it would have almost gone for just find the length and width, but they're trying to lead you into it. So the areas are the same, prove that that's okay. Alright, well, the area of the triangle is going to be a half times base times height. So a half times the base, so a half times 2x plus 5, and the height's 3x. So a half times 2 They just cancel out, make 1, don't they? So that's quite a nice start. And then all you're doing is x plus 5 times 3x. So to do that, I'm going to do this times this, and this times this. So I'm going to end up with 3x squared plus 15x. So if they're equal to each other, then this term will be equal to that term. So I'm actually just going to write it down here to save me a tiny bit of work in. Yeah, so that will be equal to that. And then we just want to get everything onto one side, don't we? So that's why I broke this out. I think that would get you the mark, I think. But here I just broke out because I knew it would come in handy. So let's get it all onto one side. So take away 2x squared from both sides. So I'm going to end up with 17x plus 8 is equal to just x squared. Take away the 17x from both sides. So I'm going to end up with x squared take away 2x. And then take away 8. So x squared take away 2x, take away 8. And very nicely, we've still, you know you've got it right because you've got this bit here. Hence, algebraically find the length and breadth. Now, really, all this question is saying is factorise, isn't it? So I'm trying to solve a quadratic, and to do that, I factorise. So add to give you this, multiply to give you this. Would be the usual way of doing it. I might need to use a quadratic formula, but it doesn't say to one decimal place, so hopefully that's okay. So let's write it. So 1 and 8 doesn't look right. 2 and 4 might be okay. Yeah, it must be 2 and 4. So if I factorise that, I've got, see, x and x, and I've got 2 and 4, so it's 2 and 4. And to get the negatives, it must be negative 4 add 2, because they multiply to a negative and they add to negative 2. So x is going to be negative 2 and x is going to be 4. Okay, so there's two possible answers, but there can only be one answer because there's only one dimension, isn't there? Now I think the negative will probably not make any sense. Let's just double check that. Yeah, the height is 3x, isn't it? So 3 times negative 2 gives you a negative. So it can't be that one. That doesn't make any sense. So x is 4. So if I want to work out what everything is, so it's the rectangle, I'm going to substitute in 4. So that's going to become 9. 2 times 4 plus 1. And 4 plus 8 is 12. Yeah. And if you wanted to, you could double check, substitute in here and actually make sure the numbers make sense. But the big part here that's tricky is knowing to discount because it doesn't make any sense. You could probably know if you wanted, just saying 3 times negative 2 equals negative 6. So, doesn't make any sense, not sensical or whatever you want to say, right? So you could do that if you wanted. But yeah, when you get these questions, they're trying to help you, they're trying to talk you through it, so just take your time. Don't forget your basics. Area of a triangle, we should remember that, And when we're solving quadratics, we are factorising, putting them equal to 0, that's going to give us our answer. Okay, so keep that in your head. Factorising is the big one here, because look at that last one as well. As you recommend, that was all about factorising, wasn't it? This one here was the quadratic formula, which is when we factorise and it's not a nice whole number, it's a decimal. Yeah. So a lot of these questions are quadratics and then some form of factorising. Nice. And there's 2 more questions there, which I will do in a different video.